welcome to our newest podcast for Balance My Hormones. And we've got a new guest with us today. It's Dr. Stephen, the Lifting Dermatologist.
You probably see him on YouTube channels. He's got a very popular YouTube channel. So how do you guys, I mean, we've both done it. How do you find the scrotal application then? Because we've had, obviously we've had a lot of guys, do it over the years, and it's usually, do I need to remove hair, or I haven't removed enough hair, and then it's sort of, then absorption's an issue. So how do you find it, morning and evening? Easy?
Well, it's a bit of a hassle, of course, twice a day to think about it. It's a bit more work than 2 injections in a week, of course.
Yeah.
But, well, then again, if you don't like injections, it's worth it. And if you feel good on it, well, I have to shave every morning as well. So
that was my
5 minutes more work, whatever.
Yeah, you brush your teeth every morning and every evening, so it's just part of your routine. And especially for men that don't want to do injections. I mean, for me, I didn't mind doing the injections either. And eventually, I had another doctor that they weren't doing the creams, so the injections were the only thing on offer. I did revisit the creams back in around 2009 or 2008, and it just didn't seem to work the same way. I think I got spoilt on the injections. And for me, and we've seen this with some of our clients, some clients are able to go from injections because the pain is so bad they hate it, for some people, to the creams. Others that have started on the injections, when they went to creams, it just didn't seem like it was enough for them. So I think it's a very individual thing.
It is personal to everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's one right way to do it as long as you've optimized your levels. But I find the cream can be effective, especially the scrotal application.
Well, common questions though, guys, like, am I going to be walking around with like cream all inside my pants because it's not absorbed? Is it going to transfer and things like that? And what we have experience wise is that actually absorbs really well if it's compounded correctly. Am I right? Do you have issues with that?
It doesn't leave a trace in the pants. So
and even if you did, it's almost like dust-like rather than paste or whatever people's try and describe it as. So it's not actually as bad as they think. I mean, guys we've had say they do it in the morning after a shower routine, and some guys just leave it right before bed under the pillow, last thing they do. So sex, whatever happens in the evening, is the last thing that they do before bed, and that seems to work. And that is if they're doing it twice a day. We have guys that once a day is perfect for them. Yeah,
we've seen really good levels with about like 20 to 30 at once a day.
Yeah.
And, some had been as high as 42, 43 twice a day at the 12-hour mark. But to be fair, one could say, this is an animal polita, is 42 that high? We came across young patients before naturally with levels of 40, 42. That haven't been induced by Clomid, but they're real natural levels. For them, the irony is they have high SHGB. So they don't always have so it's like the testes are working, but this bloody SHGB is blocking all the fun, all the good stuff from the testosterone.
What about, have you thought about HCG? Obviously, you've got kids, but fertility and testicular size, is that something that's ever bothered you?
No, I talked about that with Dr. Keith Nichols, and he also said, well, if you don't need any more children, so don't worry about that. So since I don't like injections, I don't bother with it anyway. So no, and testicular size, I can't imagine anyone looking at that or measuring anything. So.
Yeah, exactly. And like some of the older guys anyway say that, it actually helps with sort of uncomfortable testicles that might be a little bit low.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, it's all feedback, What about other hormones and things like the pregnenolone and DHEA? Do you supplement with any of those?
Yes, I take pregnenolone and DHEA. I take them both, yes.
What doses do you have?
LH and FSH are 0 on TRT, so I really believe you have to optimize those as well. Yeah.
Well, do you get that as a supplement? Do you get it compounded somewhere, or do you get it prescribed?
Well, get it prescribed. Luckily, I'm a doctor, so I can prescribe it for myself, and my pharmacy compounds it. But as I've said earlier in a podcast with Jay as well, if I wouldn't have been a doctor myself, I would really be in trouble.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get the cream. I wouldn't get the compound, the DHEA and pregnenolone. And you can't even find a doctor here that understands anything about that. I told the urologist that I talked about before that transferred me to a transgender clinic. I told them about the transcrotal cream that you put on twice a day. I mailed him some articles that Keith sent me. And he just replied, "Oh, you must be joking, right?" He didn't even believe that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it must be something from Belgium. We had a client that had seen a doctor in Belgium, and he was told to put the cream on his forehead, and then let it dry, and then put something to cover it up. Yeah, he had to wait an hour. It was a major hassle in the routine. I don't know why the forehead was supposedly a bit better than the scrotum, but that was what
we have funny doctors here.
But it goes to show, doesn't it? You're a doctor. You know, if you weren't, you know, inside in some way into the medical community, people are just stuck. You know, it's antidepressants. If you're feeling depressed, you know, where do they go? And I think it's a really common situation.
Well, it's like what Jay always talks about. It's really a sick care health system we have here. It's all like that. If you just take a look at my doctors, my peers from my age, oh, they're all in a terrible shape. There's not one doctor that is in a fit shape. They all drink too much alcohol on meetings. I don't drink any. They get into their car after 4 glasses of wine, all of them.
Metabolic syndrome, like visceral fat, like overweight.
They all have bellies like that. They all have the good life. Yeah.
When I was younger, some of the endocrinologists I came across, they were really, really heavy. I mean, some nearly obese, and they're telling me, "Oh, you've got way too much testosterone. Look how muscly you are."
I think it's one of those things that, like, when a healthcare professional of any description, if they give you advice on losing weight or a healthy lifestyle and they are fat, it's just, there's that moment. I mean, I when I worked in my practice, I listened to a physiotherapist, a very overweight physiotherapist, say to a person, "You need to lose weight because of your arthritis. You need to lose weight." And that patient was like, "That's the pot calling the kettle black, isn't it?" Like, immediately and I overheard that in the next cubicle. I just find it's one of those things. You've got to practice sort of what you preach, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you must have seen, or if you haven't, just Google it, our Minister of Health, the Belgian Minister of Health, have you seen her?
No.
You must Google that. Belgian Minister of Health, it's a woman. And she's as obese, you can't believe it. And it's an MD, and she's the Minister of Health already 4 years in Belgium.
Wow.
Is she the reason for some restrictions in Belgium on some of the practices? Is she kind of the roadblock, this particular Minister of Health?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your experience in the Belgian healthcare system with your ability to prescribe. I think we had mentioned that they don't have telemedicine available in Belgium.
No.
Is it quite antiquated over there, or is it? How does it work? Do you have your general practitioners and the health system? What's it like?
Well, we have a lot of general practitioners and we have specializations, but you don't have to be referred by a GP to go to a specialist. So I have a lot of people coming to me directly with their eczema or acne or just even children with warts. So they can skip the GP if they want, or skip whatever GP to go to whatever specialist if you want in Belgium. And then again, as a doctor, as an MD, you can prescribe whatever medication you want. So I have a lot of patients coming in for their eczema or acne, and patients ask, while I'm here, I don't want to go into the waiting room of my GP. Can you prescribe me my statins or whatever blood pressure medication? So they always ask a lot of other prescription as well.
I mean, that's a positive for the patient, isn't it? Is that a nuisance for you, or is that a benefit, do you think?
Well, no, it's a benefit for the patient. For me, either it's just a kind of service for the patient. But of course, you must pay attention because we have kind of board that looks into all the prescriptions, of course. You can't be flagged for prescribing too much of one thing out of your specialty.
Okay, so you've got to hone it into sort of roughly where you are, but there's the ability to prescribe.
Yeah, that's it. So most of my prescriptions are just cortisone creams for eczema and antibiotics and isotretinoin for acne. That's normal for my specialization. So it's normal that I prescribe a lot of it, but I can prescribe blood pressure pills, antidepressants, testosterone, whatever. I can do that, but I mustn't be flagged by only doing that and not the rest anymore. So.
Are you able to add a certification or a diploma to what you can prescribe? So let's say, we know when we've been to conferences in America, there's loads of ophthalmologists there looking into managing hormone replacement and TRT. They're looking to kind of add that because either they got burnt out in their old specialty. They're not going back to retrain as endocrinologists, but they are getting certification in age medicine management.
No, I don't believe that exists in Belgium, because even certain specializations like geriatry, that's for it's not recognized yet in Belgium. So you have internal medicine doing that, but the specialization doesn't have an official name or certification yet.
Okay, that's interesting. So maybe it's not developed yet, I don't know, into that speciality area. I mean, that's quite good. I mean, in the UK, GPs, particularly in the National Health Service, that obviously is restricted by cost, there are, I mean, patients describe them as the gatekeeper, the GP. So you go to a GP that may not actually have the knowledge of a speciality, and they will make the decision whether you can go and see someone, you know, with regards to, you know, have a speciality area or something like that. So you almost get stuck, you know, given an antidepressant immediately, you know, without it being investigated. And I suppose there has to be a cost benefit there, because they are trying to save cost. Maybe if I send someone away with this, they might get better. Same with painkillers and things like that. I find that in my practice, that if they had sent somebody to a physiotherapist immediately, they could be sorted within 6 weeks. But instead of that, they've been given codeine and paracetamol for 5-6 months. And then that acute injury has now become a chronic injury. And then we're into like a different realm of treatment and sort of healing and things like that. So it does sound like it has some benefits, you know.
Well, here in Belgium, you don't have this gatekeeper function, because the general idea is we want to give patients their freedom. They can go see whatever they want, but there's a lot of abuse in that as well, because really I have sometimes patients coming in and they're telling me, well, you're the 4th dermatologist I'm seeing this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they say, yeah, this one didn't want to prescribe me this, and so I go further till I find someone that wants to prescribe me what I want, really.
That's what they call it, doctor shopping.
Doctor shopping, I think they call that.
Medical shopping. You have a lot of that going on, yeah.
Just, can we go into, obviously, just picking your brain on your you know, what you've specialized in originally, the skin conditions. Obviously, with TRT, there is, you know, if you're predisposed to acne, or, you know, obviously, you know, you probably tell us more about it, but I suppose the first question would be, is there something that you would do preventatively if optimizing your hormones, where we know that the sebaceous oil glands will be stimulated at an optimal rate for whatever your gene expresses, I suppose, you know, your gene expression is. Would there be something you do as a preventative thing if you know you're acne prone?
Well, of course, it depends if you are acne prone or not. If you have a dry skin, it may be actually advantageous to have a bit of more oilier skin, so you won't have any problems if you start out with a dry skin. But if you already are prone to it, then you can rinse the skin with detergents, purifying them more often, of course. And sometimes I give this kind of supplements, like zinc is a classic one, pantothenic acid or vitamin B5 has been shown to beneficial for to prevent acne on TRT, really.
What sort of doses of those? We'll only be asked sort of what doses of sort of zinc and the B5, the pantothenic acid, would you normally prescribe?
Well, the zinc is normally 20 to 30 milligrams a day.
Okay.
So in Belgium, we have these zinco tabs. We have these kind of capsules that we also give them to adolescents with acne, really. So I always recommend them to people on TRT with acne. And for the vitamin B5, that's 750 milligrams 3 times a day.
Okay.
750. Cool.
That's a good amount.
Make a note. It's good to know.
Yeah, some of our clients will get some acne sometimes, and it does go away for some others.
Supplement is L-carnitine. You know it from the fitness industry. Some have said it burns fat more easily, but that has been shown not to be true, really. But 3 times a day, 250 milligrams of L-carnitine helps the metabolism of fats and oils as well. So it reduces the sebum. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about things like the antibiotics, and obviously going into, I think there's topical retinoids and things like that too, that, you know, we have adapalene and is it Tazorac and things like that too. Do you have a preference in those? I mean, I know the antibiotics there, I was reading, you know, just as I do, but are they straying away from like trying to use antibiotics as much now because of the gut biome, or what's the sort of, where do you sort of sit with that in terms of?
Yeah, we try to use less and less local antibiotics. That's true. But then again, the local tretinoins, the retinoids like vitamin A, adapalene, differin, and things like that, they can cause irritation as well. So a lot of people using them instead of the acne, they get eczema or dermatitis. They get irritated. So
one for the other.
Balance. It's a bit of a balance. Yeah.
So when do you use Accutane?
Only the worst cases, the kystic acne that risks to give scars, pitting in the skin. So before I use isotretinoin or Accutane, I first try the oral antibiotics really, but that's only very short term, only 1 or 2 months, like limicicline, tetracyclines, things like that. Or classic ones. And if that doesn't help, and sometimes I don't see in my consultation so much men on TRT really, but I see a lot of 20-30-year-old bodybuilders on massive doses of anabolics. So they come to the dermatologist with a back full of kystic acne. They are twice my size at 20 years old. So I immediately tell them, I don't ask them, I just tell them, so you're on anabolic steroids. You use them. And
like, yes.
Is that a particular steroid that they use?
We do fitness as well, so I can tell you as a doctor, so they do.
Is there a particular steroid they use that may cause it to be worse than others? So, you know, TRT is just natural bioidentical testosterone in different formats, but they add all sorts of other anabolics into the mix. But have you found one is worse than the other for acne?
Most of them are unable to tell me what they're injecting. They say, "Oh, my coach in the gym is just giving that to me," and they are unable to say what it is they're getting.
Wow, yeah, it's a different world, isn't it?
So, how long does it take to resolve?
Until they stop the anabolics, really.
So the Accutane doesn't help it, or?
Well, it does help, but you can't do it like an adolescent with a kystic acne. Give it for 6 to 8 months and then be rid of it for always. In those guys, it keeps on coming back. So they really have these endless cures of Accutane.
Is there? So obviously we're conscious of time and things, but there's low dose protocol. These are questions we've been asked, so I just wanted to pick your brain. Is there low dose protocols like 10 milligrams a day versus, because there's an accumulative dose I've read with Accutane. Do you have any preference there in terms of its side effects? Because I know it can cause dry lips and things like that.
Well, in normal people, not on anabolics, with adolescents with acne, I prefer to give lower doses and extend it for a longer time, because as you said, it's just an accumulation dose. Better give 20 milligrams or 10 milligrams for a year than 40 milligrams for 6 months and being covered with dry skin, eczema,
bloody lips,
like that. But 10 to 20 milligrams tend to work well in normal people, not on anabolics, but those guys on anabolic steroids, first they have very high body weight, and they already weigh 80 to 90 kilos, so they need more because they have a lot of lean mass, and 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams doesn't do anything in those.
Okay. It's interesting to know. So is it, I mean, a basic thing I got from someone else was actually, if you're starting TRT and maybe you're worried, just get a long handled scrubbing brush and just make sure you get to the middle of your back, because most guys say that's where I sweat and I'm in the car or something. And for most guys, if they do that preventatively, it seems like it just reaches those areas. But it's been great. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man. Yeah, it's great. We'll have to do another podcast, catch up when you've done some of those ones with sort of Dr. Nichols and things as well, and see how you're getting on.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for future content.